Alright, ladies, somebody asked about Copic markers. I really like my Copic markers because they're alcohol-based ink. They come in two different styles. I believe they're called Chow. These are the smaller ones. And then Sketch are the bigger ones. Both of them have a chisel point and a brush point. Now, the Sketch are refillable, the others are not. And I may say that wrong. They may both be, but I don't think the little ones are. These are a little cheaper, of course, when you're first starting out. They are kind of expensive. I like to buy them at Hobby Lobby if possible, just because they run a sale on them and you can get them 30% off. Alright, what I'm going to show you is how to do skin. And the good thing about an alcohol ink is that it blends together. And there's a blender marker. That's 0 is the blender marker. And this is really cool because you can use this to kind of erase if you've gotten out of your lines. It's not going to take it all away, but it does help a whole lot and will push the inks to where you want them, so you can kind of change it up a little. So, first thing we're going to do is start working on her face. Now, I probably should have told you how to stamp an image, and I guess I can do that, but I'm going to show you on her skin, first of all, what we do. And since I'm going to have to do her kind of at an angle. First one I'm going to use is E000 Pale Fruit Punch. Now, everybody has a different preference, how they like to do their mark, how they like to color skin, and there's some wonderful tutorials out there. But I have several flesh tones that I like to use just to blend them all together. Alright. So to get started, you're going to take your tip and in small circles, you're just going to gently color her in. Now you get such beautiful coverage with these. These are just amazing. I mean, there's not another marker out there that I've found that I like as well as these. Now, there's markers that I like just for stamping, but alone, you see that looks pretty good. You see I kind of got it in her hair? Well, if you wanted to, you could take the blender pen or the corrector pen and go back over it. And you see now it's gone. Alright, let me show you what it does to the back side. They do bleed through. So you're going to start getting bleeding through as it saturates the paper. So the next color I like to use is E00. It's a little bit darker than the E30. Okay? I really like to use the brush tip just because I can control it a little better. And I'm sorry for this. This is hard to do with my iPad, looking over and trying to do my design. Anyway, so you just want to kind of go, and I know this looks dark, but you're going to kind of highlight. Just gently touching as you go, thinking about how the sun's going to hit her little face and her neck, and where it might be darker and where spots might be lighter. You think it's probably going to be darker around her hairline. Going to kind of go a little darker. Let's see how well you can see that. Alright, so you're kind of blending over what you had before. Just giving her a little bit more color. And then if you like that, you can go in, and this one is E21. I'm going to kind of take it right here at her bangs, kind of down, and kind of blend it, because it's summer, so she's going to be a little darker. Can go around her neck a little. Like I say, you just keep layering up the color as much as you want to, and then you can go back and take off. Okay, I'm beginning to kind of like the way that looks. She's a little orange, so I'm going to go back to my E30, and I'm going to go over the whole thing to lighten it and blend it. Where the sun would hit her forehead, the tip of her nose, and the apples of her cheeks, I'm going to run that and remove a little of the color. So, you also see what I've done. It's saturated my paper and it's gone outside the line. So I'm going to go back again with my... I can get my cat back on. Go back with the chisel point, and I'm going to push the color back in, pushing it back towards the image. Now, sometimes I don't worry about this because I'm going to cut my image out and layer it on the paper, but I'm just trying to show you just for technique purposes. And you oftentimes, once you've saturated it with a lot of color, you're going to need to kind of let it dry a little. Alright, there. That kind of shows you that it's starting to go back in, but I'm also getting a tiny bit of hairline bleeding. You can see just a faint amount of color. So I'm going to let it dry for just a few minutes, and then I'll continue to push the color back in. And I got some out here on her neck. So we're going to push a little bit more. And right there. Like I said, sometimes once you do this, you need to let it dry because you will get some bleeding back on your paper because it's so saturated on the back side. Like I said, you can see there is so much color on the back side, but that's the wonder of the alcohol inks. So while that's wet, we're going to go ahead and use my favorite color for cheeks. It's R20. And you're just going to take it where you think she might have some cheek color. Right in there, a little bit across her nose. I always kind of like to go at the lips too. Like I said, this is giving her a lot of ink out beside her. So I go back in and I try to be real careful and fill in where I've removed color. Like I said, I'm really not worried about her because I'm going to do her on a card. I'll cut her out. So you go in and you can run this color over your pink and blend it a little more. So her cheek color is really nice. Sorry, I'm not the best at explaining Copic markers. I am not certified in it. We don't have anybody here that sells them in our town. So I just kind of basically had to watch videos and learn trial and error. My friend Annette is fantastic with Copics. She sends me the coolest cards, and they're gorgeous. I'll have to run see if I can grab one real quick. Okay, but I'll blend that in. Anyway, that gives you a basic look. It's still kind of wet right there. At how pretty the Copics look. Her skin looks pretty flawless. Let me see one of Danette's cards. She uses really cool Copic markers. Those are all done with Copics. And if you can see how the shading of the purple on the dresses, their hair has a little shading around the bangs. Here's one of the little Magnolia girls. She's really cute and shaded. Let's see if we can close up. And her hair has varying colors. She's really cute. Alright, So then you're going to just do her hair, and so you want to do her hair brown. You want to have several colors. No matter what you use, you always want to have more than one color, because I've lost the brown. You need to be able to blend them. So you always start, some people start with the lightest, some people start with the darkest. It's just your preference. This is one of my lighter ones. It's E25. And you're just going to kind of fill in. You don't have to be, if you're not going to leave it on the card that you're using, don't have to be so neat with it. Just wispy hair. Alright. Just so there's a starting layer of color on it. And you can do them for more things. You can copic marker on anything. You can use it on this next color. It's E29. So I'm going to use this as my, since this is my darker color, just going to kind of accent. Give her some darker curls. Kind of on the back side of her head would be darker. Alright. There needs to be a speed up button on here, but I don't have one. So, like I said, this is kind of messy. When my hands are really shaky, this is not something I'm real good at. You know, my hands shake quite a bit, so it's hard for me to kind of get these. So, I use them on bigger objects. I try to not get a really detailed stamp that's going to require me making lots of tiny little fine lines, because then I get really flustered that I can't keep it in the marks. And that's a lot of times why I cut my design out too. Alright, now I'm going to use this Brick Beige E31. And I know it looks pretty light, but I'm going to kind of go in here, and especially like where the sun would hit the top of her head, kind of go in, give her some more highlights there. You can see it this way. Pull it up a little. Just got lighter there. Probably lighter right here on the very back of her head. And a little lighter on the top of her shoulder. And like I said, these are really forgiving. You can keep coming back in and playing. But you see how we're getting lots of dimension in her hair? Usually the ends of her hair is a little lighter too. So kind of run right around here. Alright. Kind of like the way that looks. It needs a little bit darker right there in the middle. So I'll go back with my darker. And I'm not using the brush, I'm just going to use the chisel just because I just want to get just a little bit right in there. Okay. Really kind of like the highlights of her hair now. So, with that, you can move on to her outfit, but I'm going to stop for now and go ahead and post the face. Thanks.